I have a box of extension cords and those kind of things if you want somebody maybe to give it. Well, you keep that one. So I got tons of them. So I'll give you that.
I'll be right back.
Oh, thank you. See it?
He would love to see you. He said to give a hug to all you guys. He remembers all your names and all our special times together.
Always been such a sweet guy.
He still remembers John getting his, buying that little.
I did write something. It is 2 pages, but it's 14 bold, so it's not as long. So I'm just going to read it. And as I recall, my little sister. Oh, I know what I was going to say. If you can't, you'll be able to hear me because I still have my teacher voice. But if you can't hear anybody that's speaking, would you just touch your ear? As I recall, my little sister started out as a figment of my imagination. I wanted a brother or sister so badly. We grew up in a neighborhood full of kids. Almost every house was home to at least 2 or 3 children and sometimes more. And lo and behold, when I was 6.5 years old, she arrived. A beautiful baby with big blue eyes, round cheeks, and fiery red teeth. Nightgown down, which I think was because when we were cold, we'd pull our knees up and pull our nightgown down over our knees to warm up. And then 2 expressions from her first grade teacher. Mrs. Featherston was crossed with us today. And then, please and thank you. I still remember coming home from school one day to find that she had spread my carefully organized, by date, of course, Jack and Jill magazines all over my bedroom. That day, I think I was rethinking the whole wanting a sibling idea. She was also my very first student in the little classroom my parents assembled for me in our basement, complete with a wall-mounted chalkboard and a genuine school desk. She was my captive audience. I have one longer funny story that I want to share of Sandy as a kid. When she was 7 and I was 13, our parents decided to embark on a grand adventure. Our very first camping trip, pop-up camper, around the circle of provincial parks that's north of Lake Superior in Canada. So unfortunately, my dad's brand new company car decided to quit one day when we were stopped at a roadside picnic, for picnic lunch, roadside park. My dad sent me out to the road to try to flag someone down. Yes, indeed, laws have changed. A semi-truck came barreling along and the driver laid on his horn just before he got to me. When my hearing returned to normal, I heard, "Lori, Lori, that was for me." And I looked up the road to see my sister waving my dad's hanky to try to flag someone down. She was very triumphant. Score 1 for little sis. When I was old enough to babysit, my parents joined a bowling league, and I was put in charge of Sandy one evening per week. True confession, I was not a nice babysitter. I remember pretending to be dead to scare her, pretending to call my parents at the bowling alley, talking to the dial tone. And the worst was, I pretended to call a reform school to enroll her because of her bad behavior. Terrible! What was I thinking? I'm sure her behavior wasn't even that bad. So, those of you who are older siblings can relate. Despite the difference in our ages, we got along pretty well as we grew into our teenage years. I remember so well how excited she was to visit me at college for the weekend, and we had a blast. When I was preparing for my wedding, I chose Sandy as my maid of honor at the tender age of 16. Sandy was an exceptional aunt to my kids. She literally never missed a birthday or Christmas, even after we moved 2,000 miles away. I know they all carry lots of good memories that I hope will be with them all their lives. As adults, Sandy and I had very different lives. She was married only briefly many years ago, didn't have any children. She spent her career working in business. In addition to a big difference in personalities between us and the geographical distance after we moved to Arizona, we weren't particularly close much of the time. We saw each other almost every Christmas in Arizona and every summer in Michigan, but all told we didn't really spend that much time together once we lived. And I'll be honest, we had our ups and downs through our adult lives. Happily, the one major breach that we had was resolved about 3 years ago, so we were friends again when she died. Her death, of course, came as a huge shock, and it affected me terribly. I miss my little sister. She left us too soon. And I'm wondering, did I love her well? I'm happy for her because I believe she's in heaven with her dad and all the friends and family members who have gone before. I'll bet they're all having a blast together. But no mother should ever have to bury her child. And then my heart breaks for my precious mom. I'm so thankful that we still have each other and to be able to be together since shortly after Sandy died. It's been a daunting task to boil thoughts and feelings about someone I knew and loved for 55 years to a brief speech. Thanks again for coming today and for listening to me.
The 5 girls. And me and Jerry was that middle daughter. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, but I just wanted to say that Sandy, you know, had a take on things. She's kind of weird like me. And we could like just jump on a subject and she would give me this sort of weird angle, and that's about all the ammunition I needed to kind of give her another weird angle, and we would laugh about stuff. But like me, she's not real complicated in that, you know, her number one thing was family. And that's what was most important to her, and it is to me. And all the other things of life come second to that. But anyway, I'm not going to be holier than thou. I hope I don't offend anybody, but I'm just going to tell you about her and I being together and what it was like. Because I got all of that. And I prepared all of that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go straight to a weekend a few summers ago that I was blessed to spend up there in North Michigan, St. Jerry and Sandy. And we were just having a blast. Well, there was this guy that was kind of pursuing her. We'll refer to him as Too Tall. I've been hearing some chatter about Too Tall throughout the week, and it's like, okay, you know, she's kind of, you know, liking this guy. Well, so somehow, I guess he couldn't make it a whole week without seeing her, so he invited her to go on the boat, but I had to go as the third wheel. I don't particularly like being the third wheel, and I thought, well, I'm going to go because short time to spend with her, so I'll go. And it ended up the guy was pretty nice, so we met him at the marina, and off we go. And he was too tall. This guy was anyway, so I think she liked the tall ones. But so we're going along there, and I'm trying to be perfect cousin, gentleman. You know, I'm not wanting to be a bad, you know, I don't want to mess this up for her. And then I thought, no. So it's riding along, and you know how you get that silent moment? And I was like, I think his name was Todd. I was like, you know, Todd, I'm just glad to see that somebody's finally paying Sandy some attention after all this time. And Sandy, just how proud I am of you after going through all those years where there was gender identity issues. and so he's looking, this is true, y'all. He looked at me, and then he looked to see how far we were from shore. She's thinking, okay, it's going to take 10 minutes to get down. And then she's looking at me, and she's like, what the crap are you doing? I was like, no, really, that's not her biggest accomplishment, though. You know, going through the rehab, the fact that you're now clean. And I'll be honest, I didn't know that 3 kilos was not recreational. This guy's like, and then I'm like, but anyway, I'm just glad we could be out here with you today. But that rash did heal up, right, Sandy? Anyway, so that whole time ended sooner than it should have. I think he kind of rushed things along. And for the rest of the week while I was there, I was trying to make it up to her. I don't know if I ever did. But there was a real serious side to my cousin Sandy, and there was also, she had a knack, well, just look at her mom and dad for her. She had a knack for being funny, and again, I think just the biggest thing I always take away is, of all the things about her, the one thing that I found that was most like me was, at the end of the day, it was just all about family. So anyway, that's all I
We have a tendency to kind of distract ourselves from our grief. I'm one of them, I'll speak for myself. So I've been kind of looking forward to this day to have an opportunity to kind of just be in the situation and not be too busy to face it or too distracted. So, okay. I want to start by saying that I'm so very grateful to be here together, to cry together, celebrate the life of this remarkable woman together. What a year it has been. Filled with challenges and loss and a kind of isolation that can really compound the weight that feels really heavy at times. I'm grateful to see you guys today, and I wanted to say thank you to you and to Grandma, and everybody else, everyone inside who created the opportunity of togetherness and celebration. Thanks for creating a space for us to feel the feelings while we hold hands through them. I love you both so much and honor your hard work to bring us to today. I can't even remember a time when I didn't adore my Aunt Sandy. I remember admiring her beauty as a little girl, sitting in her room in Livonia and marveling at her arsenal of makeup as she let me watch her get ready. The rich tones of lipstick, always with the bold lip. I can literally still smell the powder. She was just so cool. Funny, lighthearted, edgy, magnetic. As a young girl, I absolutely relished her presence at Christmas and other holidays, not just because of her champion gift-giving abilities per se, although they were epic, but because she infused sunlight into every moment she was a part of. She was one Christmas light not on a tree. I remember waiting with bated breath for her to walk through the door, drop her 17 or so suitcases, and wrap my little girl body in a hug. Hey, sweets, with that bubble pop laughter tumbling out. I looked forward to those moments all year long. As a teenager, many of you may know that I entered into the catacombs of identity crisis and rebellion, which was really just confusion and me flexing my muscles as I tried to figure out and define who I was and figure out where I fit in the world. Often feeling like I couldn't share some of this with my parents because, consequences. I felt at home sharing some of the deepest corners of my heart with my aunt. She would listen, she would guide and gently challenge, and she would make me laugh with sporadic swear words that so eloquently spoke to my angst. And she would reassure me that I was normal and that things would ultimately be all right. She would ask me about my dreams for my future and share her own with me. I felt like I got a glimpse into her world that was privileged and special, and I needed to feel special. She was bold and unafraid in her faith, and talked to me about God's love at a time when I wanted to hear nothing of it. I would roll my eyes and she would smirk and tell me that whether or not I wanted it, God's love was mine forever. She was a listening ear and a receptive heart and a tireless encourager. Her love for me has always been so tangible, so evident, so undeniably right there. As I tiptoed into adulthood, I had the privilege of building a close, sweet, and mutually adoring friendship with my Aunt Sandy. Life took me on some crazy journeys. I graduated college, and she sat in the stands with a cherry red sunburned face, sun goddess that she was, always taking advantage of our atomic Arizona rays, and grinned at me with pride. I had babies. First Dylan, and boy oh boy was she smitten. Every gift, every card, every visit she gave with glee and excitement. He was the apple of her eye, and she let him know it from the jump. Sometimes adult friendships get diluted when our paths diverge and the circumstances of our lives make us less alike, but not her. She celebrated every change I was experiencing and never missed an opportunity to tell me how proud of me she was. And let me tell you, she knew me way before I was making good choices. Then my little Tootie arrived, and she was there, flying to Colorado to hold my baby, feed him and make him giggle, and then share a glass of wine, or 3, with me when my babies finally slept, and we could commiserate and laugh and be smartasses. Be the smartasses we had to mitigate around the kids. She was on the other end of the line when my marriage fell apart, to speak to my broken heart, to reassure me that the God love I rolled my eyes about in my teens, that I now depended on just to keep breathing through another day, was still mine forever. She has been there every step of every twist and turn of my life, with wisdom, prayer, mirth, well-placed swear words, and wine. As someone who works with people from all walks of life and is privy to intimate details about their hearts, struggles, and victories, I know for a fact that God makes each one of us incredibly and beautifully complex. But to some, he gives an extra dash of special. My aunt was a ray of sunshine and a bell of laughter. Despite her own personal challenges and pains, hopes and dreams, complexity, she always joined me in mine wholeheartedly. She did everything wholeheartedly and without expectation. She loved because she wanted to, because she did. Writing this has been a bit of a struggle because there are endless stories I want to share, to honor her, to remember her, to put words to the memories and connections that she had with so many of us here today. But I have the rest of my life to do that, and so do you, and we should. It's impossible to ignore the feeling that she left too soon and too quickly. It seems to this day senseless and impossible, a stark truth that is yet incoherent. But I am left with the paradox of feeling both wrenching grief and great gratitude, a continuum I move along slowly and surely as the days go by. Aunt Sandy, if there's any way you can hear me, thank you. Thank you for all of it. I know you're busy up there in your stubborn, sassy way doing something very important, coordinating and planning and directing and laughing through it all. You are deeply loved, admired, and cherished by so many. Your bold life mattered greatly, your big love was felt, and I cannot wait to hug you again.
Sandy was dead. She and I were very close friends, not all of her life, but most of her life. She really liked a fun time and a good laugh. But she also had a serious side. She loved her God, she loved her family and her friends, and she worked with children in the Detroit Mission for several years when she lived downstate. When she was a child, the neighborhood kids would come by, knock on our door, and ask for her because she always knew a good game to play. She was a consummate organizer. She even started with Lori's Jack and Jill books. And became an administrative assistant when she decided what she wanted to do when she grew up. Today it's hard still for me to realize that she's gone. God told me that he was going to take her so she would be out of pain, and that there were people up there that loved her. 2 days later, she died. After she died, 3 friends in different locations at the same time had a vision of her laughing, dancing, and saying, "This is awesome." I'm so grateful that God allowed me to have her as my daughter and friend for 55 years. It will be such a grand reunion when I get there. It's hard to wait. Such a pleasure to see everyone here today remembering her. She would be laughing, dancing, and saying, "This is awesome." And it is.